Hello everyone and welcome back to Age of Nagash, which is of course a channel dedicated to Age of Sigmar. And in this video we are talking all things to do with the FAQ for Age of Sigmar 3rd edition. And I know I've probably already done a video with exactly that same entry, but this is a new FAQ now that 3rd edition is out, where answers so many people's questions, hopefully, and causes a whole load of new problems. But you know, that's always fun, and hopefully a future FAQ will fix any problems that have been made in this FAQ. But I am not reading this just by myself. I have, of course, got a bit of a regular on the channel. It's been a few videos now, Mr. Alex Tubbs. So how are you doing today, sir? And thank you, as always, for joining us to go through all this news. So how are you doing?
Yeah, all good. It's an exciting day watching people get salty on the internet for what's not to love.
Those are the best days, I find. Yeah, it's great. I mean, I've read through some, I mean, we'll go into all this, but the bits I've read, which is most of it, I sort of read later on in the day, so I saw what most people put up and everything. I was like, oh, great! This, you know, when it's like a great bonfire going, and you can just like spectate it. The odd firework of like this odd rule you've never heard of. I go, oh, that's quite interesting. That's annoyed one person. That's great. So that's obviously what we'll go through in this. And then we'll be starting with the core rules. So we're going to start with the core rules because it's the meat and potatoes, we were saying, weren't we, of this FAQ, and it kind of is what affects most of the armies, in some cases more than their own FAQ. So that's why it's important to go through this first. As always, let us know your thoughts in the chat and the comments of this videos, as this is just our opinions. Doesn't mean we're 100% right, but it's our honest thoughts about what we've seen today. And as always, guys, if you do enjoy the video, make sure you smash the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell notifications. That massively helps. And if you want to become a Patreon or a YouTube member, crack on, but we can get to that at the end of the video. I just want to say before we get started, we have got Christopher saying, good afternoon from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, USA. Good afternoon, Christopher. Hope you're doing well. You've joined us in a few of the live ones lately. And then Mark Stanley is saying, hi, guys, how are you? I'm very well, mate. And I think we're more than excited to get stuck into this one. So what I've just got to do quickly is I'm going to stop sharing this screen because it's sharing the wrong one. Haven't done this for a little while, but I will get to share the right tab. Just bear with us a little bit. Where are we? Here we are. There we go. So we've got the core rules up here, and this is what we'll go through. And if anyone who's a bit new to Age of Sigmar, a bit new to like FA, what does an FAQ mean? I've just bought my Dominion box set. I've just gone to 3rd edition. How am I meant to know what's changed from the core rule book I'm holding? Essentially, when you go through this, just look out for the purple writing, and it makes everything a lot easier to try and understand. So we can actually go through we can go to all the way down to halfway through page 3 before there's been any proper changes. I think the best way of doing it is we'll just go through it like chronologically in the order it is. So the first question we have got is, if an ability allows a unit to receive a command without the command being issued and without a command point being spent, does the restriction that you cannot use the same command ability more than once in the same phase still apply? And the answer is yes. To me, that's quite straightforward. There might be some cases where it's a little bit not as simple, but I kind of feel like, you know, if you can't issue the same command ability more than once, that's it. And
So basically there was a bit of an argument before this because you've got like battalions, so like the Vanguard battalion, which lets you do at the double, and it basically says like the command is not issued and the command point is not spent, and people, and like also with like handgunners with Unleash Hell doing it for free, people were claiming that you could also do it a second time. So this just basically clears it up, and it's like, no, it is still a command, so like you can't do it more than once in a turn.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry to talk over here. And it's like, my thoughts on it are just like, you know, this sounds like someone trying to twist a rule to try and get more out of it. However, I've already been guilty of this in the new edition because I've been using Archaon's command ability. When your opponent uses the command ability, you can use Archaon's one in his war scroll on a 2-up to make a unit fight when it dies, or like a model from a unit fight when it dies. And then you can also issue that in your hero phase as well. So I have.
Oh no, it's by phase, so you can do it You can do them in different phases.
Okay, yeah, so that I haven't been doing it wrong. Everyone who's thought you could get away with doing this are trying to scam. But no, so it's nice that it's clarified, isn't it? So going on to the next bit, which is all about the hero phase, it says that, so question, so rule 7.0 states, in addition, in your hero phase, you can use friendly wizards to attempt to cast spells, and both to attempt to dispel endless spells. But rule 19.3.2 states that at the start of the hero phase, each player can attempt to dispel one endless spell. Can you clarify which takes precedent? And it is the 19.3.2. So just to make that make kind of sense, that basically means if you want to dispel an endless spell, it's at the start of the hero phase, right? That's the main thing to do with
it. So basically, you can't attempt to dispel more than one endless spell at the start of a hero phase, which is actually interesting. Because like I've definitely had games when like certainly my opponent has like dispelled a couple, like I've had like 2 or 3 endless spells out, and they've tried to unbind like 2 of them, and this would just stop that, and you'd only be able to do one, so you'd have to choose which one you did. So it's actually quite a big change. It was just, I think, something that was a bit lost in the rules.
Yeah, I think so. Like my point of view, like you've got, if you're going against Zeech or something, you want to get rid of all their endless spells. But apart from those sort of armies, it is a bit annoying, you know, if you sort of invest in an endless spell, and as soon as you get it on, and then it's like the enemy's got rid of it straight away. Which
it's very situational. Like there's probably, you know, like maybe 3 or 4 armies in the game which are going to be running more than one endless spell. It's pretty rare.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just gonna catch up. Just we've got Mark talking in the chat. He's saying that just gonna get a can of. Okay, so this is probably going to be a longish show, probably about a couple of hours. And then he's also saying, I've just thought I would check this out, even though I haven't started third edition. I mean, to be honest, it's always useful to keep up with the latest rules and all that, in case that is going to sort of impact how you want to push things forward. Also things like, you know, weapon options and stuff, how you want to equip your guys. But going on to the movement phase, the first question we have is, if a unit that receives the redeploy command ability receives the Unleash Hell command in the same turn, can that unit shoot? And the answer is no. And that kind of sounds like it's going to remove some cheeky playstyles.
No, like I don't understand like why it's an FAQ. It literally says in the ruling for redeploy, a unit that redeploys can't shoot later in that turn. Like it literally said that's what it says. Yeah, like I'll double check it in here.
I don't really use much shooting, so I'm not really too sure. But I just wondered if there's a term in the sense of shoot, because like if we looked at Prince Hordre's breath attack for his dragon, that I don't think that's a shooting attack, for example. You just do that in the shooting phase. You know, like little things, but it sounds like it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, it literally says you can move D6. The unit that receives this command must finish outside of 3 inches from all enemy units and cannot shoot later in the turn. So It's like I don't know why this is an FAQ, but we move on.
Like, because they say no to it twice, it's 2 negatives make a positive, and then you can do it potentially.
I like it.
Yeah, it could happen. So the next question, so hopefully this is more relevant. Can a unit finish a move halfway or up the side on a terrain feature? And the answer is yes, but I'm going to skip to the next one because it kind of contradicts itself. So can a unit jump down from a terrain feature if the distance to the battlefield is greater than that unit's move characteristic? So maybe that's in the terms of, can it just actually physically just go onto the battlefield? But I was sort of reading it as in like it's not allowed to move down the wall.
So basically what this stops is it stops flying units from sitting on top of terrain and being unchargeable.
Right, okay. So
it's because so they can finish their charge up it, but like they've still got to make the charge up the distance, if that makes sense. So like if it's 3 inches up, they've still got to charge that far up it.
Yeah.
So you still have to take the height into consideration, but you can finish your charge halfway up the side of the wall. Whereas it's like
because I get you, right? Because I mean, even in Tabletop Simulator, this has came up so many times, doesn't it? Where it's like, how does it work? And then you just agree with your opponent some sort of way, and it's like you're base to base with the scenery. Which
terrain rules are still just honestly, they're just shit. Like,
Yeah.
we had so many big hopes for like 3.0 and then doing something similar to 40k, and they've just not really done anything with it. And yeah, we can move on.
But yeah, there we go. So going on to the next bit. It's all about the shooting phase. Okay. So the first thing is, if this I'm pretty sure is very similar to the other question we asked. If a unit that receives the redeploy command ability also receives the unleash hell command ability in the same turn, can that unit shoot? No. Do we need to explain this any further? Or have we already done that? So it's just worded differently, but it's the same question. Anyway, so question for this one is rule 10.0 states you make shooting attacks with each model in the unit until you have shot with all of the models you want to, but rule 13.1 states you must pick the target unit or units for all of the attacks that will be made by the models in the unit. Can you clarify which takes precedent? And rule 13.1, so the latter rule, takes precedent over rule 10.0.
So yeah, I'd read this earlier and I was like struggling to get my head around what it actually means.
Yeah, I just I'm glad they explain what the rule is after. They don't just state the the number. Otherwise, that would be impossible.
Yeah.
So right, okay. So let's do this again. So rule 13.1 is the important one. States you must pick the target unit or units for all of the attacks that will be made by models in the unit. So your shooting unit, if they've all got bows, it makes it sound like they all have to shoot the same unit with those bows, and they can't split attacks. Is that it?
No. When you shoot or fight with a unit, any attacks you must pick. Sorry, pick and make the attacks. 4 attacks must be made by them. I don't know what it means. If I'm honest,
when this ever comes up to your game, you can do it then. I mean, like I said, I don't really have. I have the odd catapult, maybe unpainted, and that's it. So I don't really know. But what I can say is that Mark Stanley was saying pretty self-explanatory.
Okay, I've got it. Sorry, I've got it. Okay, so basically, Rule 10 is kind of saying that you could say, right, I've got 10 handgunners. My first handgunner is going to shoot at this unit, and you roll for it. And then you like, now my second. So basically, it's like kind of saying you could see how many damage you. So say like a unit was left on a wound, you could roll those individually until you did the damage to that, and then you could split your attacks elsewhere.
So it's while
13.1 is saying you allocate what you're doing at the start. So basically, it's how we've always played it.
Okay, that's fine. Then you're basically declaring, aren't you?
Yeah, you just declare what you're doing before you know the outcome. So if you're splitting attacks, it's a bit of a risk.
Thank God you're here. I mean, seriously, like, why can they just say that instead of saying yes? Rule 13.1 takes precedent over Rule 10.0. But here we are. But Mark Stanley was saying that the whole sort of redeploy thing was pretty self-explanatory, which it is. And then Tactical Command TV is saying, especially with how redeploy works, mental shorthand can be a powerful thing, and only remembering the movement portion of it. Yeah, so that is that. And then going on to the next thing, I will try and keep up with the chat because I know everything that's going to be written in the chat is going to be relevant to something we have just read out. So I don't want to like catch up every 10 minutes. So the next question is, what happens if a model making a piling move is equally distant from 2 enemy units at the start of the move? And the answer is, it must finish the pile in move no further from each of those enemy units than it was at the start of the move. That sounds pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, it was always the case in the game, but all it means is that the classic, if you manage to engineer it, so you've got 2 units, both of them 2.9 inches away from, say, Archaon, then like he can't pile in anywhere because he has to finish his pile in the same distance from both of them. So like this is where like the Lumineth like triple flying fox list is like super cancerous because you can just do that all the time, and it's horrible.
I like that, and I never really do want to, if I'm honest.
Oh, it's just gross.
I just want to play with my toys. Yeah, okay, so that just confirms that as what we've always been doing, basically. And then going on to the most interesting rule change, shall we say, which is all about. So if you're not really too sure what wards are, if you still quite new to 3rd edition, it's basically your after saves, your death save, your mystical save, all those sort of like 6-up saves to prevent damage. So the question is, in section 14.3 of the core rules, ward rolls are made to negate a wound or mortal wounds before it is allocated to a model. However, many units in the game have abilities that trigger when a wound or mortal wound is allocated to a friendly model. Can I use abilities that negate allocated wounds or mortal wounds after a ward roll? And the answer is yes. What kind of? If I know, there are examples that you've mentioned before, Alex, that kind of see why this has been explained like this and has been answered like this. But it kind of, to most things, contradicts how the core rules wanted wards to work. So the example you gave was about how Manfred can ignore the first wound in, is it the turn or is it the phase?
The phase.
The phase. So that's kind of like how his armor of Tempelhof still has an effect as well as this. But then this opens Pandora's box to loads of other examples where they can have loads of after saves.
Yeah, so basically for anybody who doesn't know, prior to GHB 2020, you could stack after saves. That was a thing you could do, and that got changed to just do one after save, and the whole community was like, amazing, that's really, really good. Then when AOS 3 came out, basically this ward definition came into existence, and basically within the ward rules it said you can't have more than one ward roll per wound taken, and so everybody kind of assumed that your traditional 2.0 feel no pains were ward saves, so we just continued on with that. However, basically the issue is that ward saves happen before wound allocation. And ward saves are pretty much only found in the core rules and on things like Andrasta and Stormcast. So basically anything new for AOS 3, these Feel No Pains wards happen before wound allocation, while anything found in battle tomes from 2.0 occur after wound allocation. So basically what this now means on a basic level is that you can have a ward happen, you can allocate the wound, and then you can have a Feel No Pain, which is terrifying. It basically means that you can now have a Frostlord on Stonehorn reliably on a 2-up save with a 5-up Feel No Pain. Like, just an unkillable mess.
Which I really think is what is needed in this. Especially like you said, especially how good you can generally make your save now. In Age of Sigmar, and then
unfortunately things get worse in a second as well.
Yeah, are we talking about the next purple, right?
No. Like you take this a step further.
Okay.
So, so obviously in the ward, in the ward rolls, it says you can't stack wards. You can only have one.
Yeah.
Feel No Pains aren't wards, so that means that there are no limit to the Feel No Pains that you can apply to a unit. So, for example, you can now have a Great Unclean One in Legion of the First Prince, who is going to have a 5-up Feel No Pain. He's going to have the Amulet of Destiny for his ward. He's then got Disgustingly Resilient for his first Feel No Pain, and he's then got the command trait for the Legion of the First Prince, which is another 5-up Feel No Pain. You can have a Phoenix on a 5-up with the Amulet of Destiny, a 4-up ward save, and then a 6-up from the Luminarch of Hysh. It's just dumb.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, like, so I haven't got loads of experience against Fire Slayer as an example. Does this now make them pretty survivable again? Like, as they used to be pretty.
Fire Slayer.
Or do they just have one good ward save? Or do they?
Yeah, they've got a 4-up. The problem is, like, you could bless them. Bless is also a bit of an issue. That's the generic prayer, because you can now put bless on Gotrek. So he's got a 6-up, 3-up. So now he goes from. So I think he's 20. What is he? 24 damage he can take on average. 24 damage he can take on average. That now goes up to about 30 damage he can take before you kill him.
But his move is still 4.
His move is still 4.
Cool. The go-to defense for why he's not too strong. His move is 4. So, well, that's fun. So that's kind of the biggest. That's what the change that everyone's talking about.
Yes. So essentially, yeah, like we were already in the save stacking meta. Like, you know, we've all seen, you know, these monsters, like monster heroes on a 2-up ignoring Ren 2. What we've now potentially got is this 5-up, 5-up, or like 4-up, 5-up nonsense. You know, like I've been looking. I'm not going to do it because I think like a lot. Yeah, I'll preface it. I think like TOs are already looking at just comping it and just saying, nope, they're all wards, and I'm completely okay with that. Like, if that's what they want to do, like, but like.
So I was just going to say, when the core rules came out, it really sounded like they wanted to just call Feel No Pain's Death Saves. They just wanted to branch it all under the name Ward. And that's how... Yeah. And then this just, like you've just explained perfectly, just undoes all that.
Yeah, so like...
I don't know what they want.
I'm sorry, like, I'm looking at like the Flame Spire Phoenix in cities, and one of their rules is... its rules is when it dies on a 4-up, it comes back to life at full health. So if you look at that across 2 games, so say on average, you know, both games it dies, and then one game you roll your 4-up, one game you don't. That's kind of the average. You're looking at it having 50 damage it can take for 290 points on a 3-up, often 3-up ignoring Rend 1 save with lots of healing in cities. Like, and it's
fun, and that's not even
fun. The Frostbite doesn't come back to life, but it's got the -1 to wound. So like you've got pros and cons to both.
Like the fire one, if I saw that opposite me, I'd be that's the good one to go against. Like, but yeah, right. So we got that. We could talk about that for ages, but I think we've talked about that pretty well. About just.
I'm just gonna my closing point is it's bad for the game. Everyone knows it's bad for the game. Talk like if you're having a casual game, talk about it with your mate. Decide how you want to play it. A lot of TOs are just going to say they're all wards, and we'll move on, and it'll be fine.
I mean, because even I'm just thinking, like, it's probably not the best example out there, but like Slaves of Darkness and Despoilers, you know, make a Demon Prince like a 2-up save, a 5-up, and then a 5-up, and then it might be standing next to Mystical. I don't know.
So Mystical's now wards, so like you still can't stack wards. So anything like that. And the War Shrine.
And then could be healing 2D. Could be healing 2D wounds a turn.
Like healing the
3D wounds. Yeah,
healing 2d3 because you both Despoilers and heroic action.
And then there's a command trait you can take from Despoilers that are going to free up your heal. Like if you really wanted to, I don't know, keep a Demon Prince alive forever for some reason, you could. So and just to finish off as well, that Tactical Commander said that great unclean one is now discussed in both in lore and in its mechanics. It truly is. So there we are. And then the next one, and is going to be some older abilities give the Bodyguard effect, such as the Guardians on the Venari Blade Lords War Scroll, or the Selfless Protectors on the Saurus Guard War Scroll, which I don't know about you, but the Saurus Guard one is definitely one I'm more familiar with. So that allowed damage that would be allocated to a friendly hero to be allocated to a different friendly unit. Can I use abilities like this before or after I make a ward roll for the hero? The answer is no. These Bodyguard abilities are used instead of making a ward roll for a wound or mortal wound that would be allocated to that hero. So back when I played against Seraphon and I read through the Saurus Guard rule, I was pretty sure how this works. I played against Seraphon players who have got many more hours playing with Seraphon than I have looking at the rule, and they said, no, you can stack it, and I just took their word for it. So I don't know if it's kind of always been like this, but they finally confirmed it, because otherwise it just seemed a bit, I mean, Crate never died, and I was very upset.
This is a good change for the game. I actually suspect it's come into existence because of the Indrasta and Praetors thing. I was really leaning into that, and Filq just like couldn't die. Like you could just sit her and 3 Praetors on an objective, and like your opponent could throw 2,000 points at them, and they'd still be standing there just chilling. It was just so like it's 100. Like I'm sad because I was gonna buy Indrasta and Praetors, and just be a dick. But yeah, it's good for the game ultimately, so I'm happy.
Yeah, I think it's a needed change, isn't it? Like it kind of feels like the one above, the rule above made things worse than this one. So here we are. But yes, that's a good change. And like you said, like I mentioned Craig, you mentioned Adrasta, there's probably other ones as well out there. So going on to the next bit, we have terrain. So some factions can add terrain features to their armies after the battle begins. So they're like what's it called? The Nurgle tree?
Yeah, and like Wildwoods.
And the Wildwoods. Anything to do with trees, basically. So do the game terms faction terrains from rules 17.0.3 and faction terrain features from 23.0 refer to all terrain features with faction terrain war scrolls, even though they have been added to your army? Yes. So that just means they keep the keyword, right?
It just, I think it more means, again, this isn't something I kind of read it briefly. What rule is it? 17.03. Oh yeah, no, for this bit, it doesn't matter all that much. It's more the next question that matters.
Cool. So the next one then. So if the answer to the above is yes, which it is, do these placement restrictions apply to faction terrain features that are set up after the battle begins? So placement restrictions, that's like you have to be 2 inches away from an objective or whatever it may be, 1 inch away from other terrain features, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, exactly. Which is pretty big, I think. I'm just going to get the
yeah, I'm trying. Maybe I haven't played against like really Sylvaneth and Nurgle that much lately, but I'm trying to think. I haven't really came across much where people place things on top of objectives, but I suppose Sylvaneth do that because they.
Yeah, I think it nerfs Sylvaneth quite hard because I think it limits where they can put it. Although Wildwoods and Sylvaneth have just been smashed into the ground anyway in this FAQ. But yeah, it just means you have to follow the rules, I think, for the terrain. I don't like it. Might be a big thing for certain factions, but they're not factions I play, so I'm not super hot on
it. Yeah, exactly. And I'm just going to catch up the chat just in case anything's relevant to what we've already mentioned. So I might be wrong, but so this is from Mark, so I might be wrong. But it seems that they have found a way to reword and rehash some of it, not most of the old ones, but I'm trying to work out how that helps the likes of Nighthaunt. Don't worry, we'll get to things like Nighthaunt later. Going on to the Grumbling Oak, so saying, what's up, boys? I'm doing very well. I hope you're doing well too, Oak. And then, yeah, so let's crack on with the next thing, which I believe is Garrisons. So this is a bit of a long one, so bear with us. But the question is, sometimes it is impossible to set up I mean, I've already read this, and I think we already knew the answer to this question. Basically, if you're garrisoned and the garrison building, ship, whatever is destroyed, and you have to set up so far away from the enemy and so close to how it was to the garrison, and you can't physically do that, the unit is destroyed. Can I just say that, or do I need to? Yeah, because that was always like that, wasn't it? Like,
it's on a model by it's on a model basis, not a unit basis.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that's fine. Yep. So I'm reading all that. The objective. So going on to this question says 18.1 states if an objective is placed on the border between two territories, it is considered to be within both of them. Does this mean these objectives are considered to be wholly within both of them? No. So this is things like battle tactics. I think there's a fair few things that say an objective not wholly within.
Yeah, it's all about what is it? Not Ferocious Advance.
Is there Conqueror or something?
No, Conquers take your opponents. Is the one which is basically hold two objectives not wholly within your territory. And there's most battle plans have your objectives like on the border between like your territory and just like no man's land. So yeah, we're already playing it like this. It just confirms that you can get that battle tactic if you're on the line of if the objectives are on the line of your territory, which is fine.
So just in case it ever comes up in your games and your opponent doesn't see it this way, just point them to this basically. And also that's a battle tactic that's available to anyone. So like it's fine. Okay, the next one though is rule 18.1.2 states if a friendly unit has models within 6 inches of 2 or more objectives, you must pick one of those objectives for the model from that unit to contest. Can I pick different models from the same unit to contest different objectives? No, so it's by unit basis, not models.
Again, I think we knew that.
I think
we knew that.
I think that didn't used to be the case, and then within the last year, it then became the case, and then that's how we've been playing for about a year. I think is what. Because I remember there was a time people would stretch out a big blob of 60 models, and
yeah, well, you could do that in 2.0. You just can't do it. Yeah, you just can't do it in the new edition.
Yeah,
because it literally says a unit can only contest one objective. So I don't know. Yeah,
again,
people. Yeah, it's people trying to break the game.
It's exactly. It's like the rules say I specifically can't do this, but can I try and bend this rule to mean that I can do it? And the answer is no. So rule. So this one.
Oh, sorry. I'm just going to interrupt with a hot bit of news. A source of mine who, before the points and stuff dropped for 3.0, gave me all the points, like bang on, like seems to be pretty reliable, has said we're getting a hot fix for wards next week.
Cool.
So if it is that quick, then fair play to GW. They messed up, but they're sorting
it. They've sorted it out. Well, that's cool. So that's
we'll see.
We'll see that. Yeah, that's good. Yep. So that's being sorted then. Because then I'm glad we did all the talk before then. Otherwise, that would take about half the show away. But no, so that is good to hear. They're fixing their mistakes. Rather than just going, you know what, we'll wait until winter. We'll sort it out then.
Yeah, that was the worry.
Handbook. Either or. Okay, so the next bit though is going on about endless spells. So, do things that increase the range of the caster spells also apply to the distance at which an endless spell can be set up from the caster? Yes, I think that was the case before, but you can't extend the range of how the endless spell moves.
Yeah, so basically in 2.0, the Malign Sorcery FAQ said that you couldn't. So, like, for example, the Ashlith Bearer in Seraphon extends the range of spells by 6 inches. And you couldn't in 2.0. It didn't affect it. In 3.0, because of how the wording for summoning endless spells has changed, you could. This is just confirming that you could. Also, a little hot tip for anyone: if you've got an endless spell you want to get in your opponent's face, take the Umbral Spell Portal. You can now cast endless spells through the spell portal. So Skaven can actually do the KO trick, which is disgusting, of Warp Lightning Vortex in your opponent's face turn 1.
Yeah, you've got a nasty list for that or something, haven't you? I think.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Guilty is charged.
There you go. And then you've got, so next thing, talking about priests. So when a priest attempts to summon an invocation, does that count towards the number of prayers that priest can chant? The answer is yes. That kind of makes sense because, a wizard, when they cast another spell, it counts as the spell count that they can do.
Yeah.
I suppose, but there's not as many priests out there that can chant more than one prayer. But
yeah,
they can't be unbound or whatever, can they? So
it's just a clarification of what's going on.
That makes sense to me. And then we're going on about monsters. So, question. Rule 21.1 states at the end of the charge phase, each player can carry out one monstrous rampage from the table below with each friendly monster. If I have a unit that is a monster that has more than one model, can I use a monstrous rampage with each model from that unit? The answer is yes. However, they have made most of those sort of units, like the Sharks from Mind of Deepkin, no longer monsters. I presume like Korgoroths are no longer monsters, etc. But there may be the odd thing out there.
So yeah, literally it's Man Crusher Gargants and Varangard if you cast Metamorphosis on them. I think that's the only 2 at the moment. I could be wrong, but
there's not many. Like Cockatrices come in units of 1, right?
Yeah. I don't think. Yeah.
Because they are still monsters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very. They like 90 points or something.
They're a bit more than that, but
a bit more. That's cool. They are fun. Right. So the next thing we have got though is going to take us all the way to the faction terrain war scrolls. So this is 23. So some terrain features have impassable on their war scroll. Is this a senior rule for the purposes of demolish monstrous rampages? And that's no. So does that mean you can't take away the effect from that?
Exactly, yeah. So like Skaven Norholes are impassable. They will still be impassable if you demolish them.
Cool. Or Wildwoods. Okay, that's the next bit anyway. But are they? They're impossible as well, aren't they?
No, you can go in them because that's how they do mortal wounds to you. They just block line of sight.
Got you. Right, so that's what I'm thinking of, the blocking line of sight. But anyway, so the next one, talking about Wildwood. So some terrain features have the Wildwood on their war scroll. Is that a scenery rule for the purpose of the demolish monster rampage? No. So I presume that means when there's things like dirt, if he's standing next to a silver Wildwood, he gets bones.
No, that's awakened Wildwood. Wildwood is literally just line of sight blocking. If it passes more than if the line of sight passes over more than 3 inches of the terrain piece.
So it's kind of like how I'm reading. There's obviously more examples here, but how I'm reading, like the first one we just read, for example, Skaven ones, the Narholes are still going to be impassable. Wildwood, they're still going to be line of sight blocking.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter if the monster comes down and knocks the trees down, you still can't see through them. So then going on to the pitch battle profiles. So on the sidebar note that accompanies the rule 25.3 unit size mentions a maximum unit size, but this is not defined in the core rules. Please, can you clarify what maximum unit size means? To me, I get it, but I think if you're brand new, it can be a bit more harder because obviously how basically reinforced works, isn't it? So the answer they give is a unit's maximum size is the highest number of models that can be taken in that unit. This will vary if a unit can be reinforced and is determined on the case-by-case basis, which I think is fairly straightforward.
To be fair, with it was a whole thing with the Pink Horrors debate before the new War Scroll. Yeah, cool. We now know, but yeah, sweet.
Yeah, cool. And then going on to battalions, says, can I take the same core battalion more than once in my army? And the answer is yes. So that's cool. And then going on to enhancements. So can the flaming weapon spell from the Universal Spell Law 27.5.3 be used to pick a mount melee weapons? The answer is yes, and that's +1 damage, I believe, isn't it? Yep. So a good spell, and it came. I don't think it would have said anywhere that it couldn't anyway.
No. So we in general, it was actually because the rules for flaming weapons say pick one of the caster's weapons and give it +1 damage. The community was generally ruling it that it had to be the caster, not the mount. So this is actually kind of big. Like talking about the Phoenix again, like Frostheart Phoenix with Arcane Tome. It's got 8 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1, 2 damage. That goes up to 3 damage. That's quite a big swing, and also it's basically casting Mystic Shield on itself because if a spell goes off within 12 inches of it, it gets +1 save. So big stonks on that. And yeah, just like any of these kind of monstrous heroes, if you give them Arcane Tome if they're already a hero and chuck it on the mount attacks, it's really good. Yeah,
exactly. So like it's pretty damn good.
It's really big.
Just like a quick one off the top of my head. So you make someone a wizard, and then you have another enhancement you can give them to give them the flaming weapons. Because they're enhancements, you can, obviously a guy can have more than one enhancement, can't he? You could have like a mount trait as well as an artifact. Yeah, cool. And then the next bit is Path to Glory and Contest of Generals.
There was just the unique bit, which is again just confirming that uniques can't take universal spell laws and prayers. It's the way the community have been playing it, pretty much.
That's nice.
And then I think the rest of it is just we've got the mount traits bit at the bottom. I think basically the mount traits thing at the bottom. People have been playing like Boulder Head Stone Horns with like 3 or 4 metal crunchers in a list because of the previous FAQ. So that's now been changed. And you.
So I was just gonna say, being charged by like 4 of them all doing metal cruncher on you.
Yeah, it was pretty silly.
Awful. Is that like on a 3-up it happens, or is it just?
No, it just happens. It's D6 more. No, against anything with a 2-up, 3-up, or 4-up save.
Okay, which
most things.
Yeah, because especially these days. Cool. Okay, so that is the core rules. And then what we're going to look at now is we're going to go to, if you're happy to do this, Alex, we go to the top of the list of the FAQs. And
I mean, honestly, so things like Beasts of Chaos and Blades of Khorne, we can just skip. Like looking through the Chaos stuff, it's pretty much just changes to how they've worded coalition.
Okay. Is it a big change?
The only thing in Beasts of Chaos, which is Dragon Ogres are now elite, so they can give themselves commands.
Yep, that's cool. Because I know that when I was playing my Vanguard the other day, I found out they weren't elite.
Vanguard are now elite as well. Yep. You'll be pleased to hear.
That's great, because I mean, like, each one of them is a Chaos Lord in their own right. They deserve it. But no, that's cool. Ungle Raiders change the rule to add one to wound rolls, shooting attacks. I imagine that might be an add-on to hit.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, okay. Which is good. I'm sure that's going to be all they need. So, right. So, Grave Lords.
I had nothing. I don't think. Actually, I think it did, but I don't know how it got better. But I know I know people were liking it, using it with Nagash versus Gargants, because he can then heal like 7 wounds or something on average, which is kind of nice. Soul Blight.
That has definitely changed. I know that, because it used to be. It's now good against certain things, isn't it? Really, which is
it's very situational. But when you've got a Nagash who always knows it, and I think you quite often would be taking Spell Portal with Nagash because Hand of Dust only has a 3-inch range. The option to put that through is also quite nice. Like, just literally for when you face Gargants. Any other time you do Hand of Dust in the same situation. But yeah. Because Gargants can only take D6 mortal wounds, they can't die from anything which auto kills.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is interesting for those situations. And then zombies, basically, when you bring them back, you can't tie up enemy units unless you're already in combat with them. That's in
the core rules, I think.
Yeah, so that's fine. Artifact of Power, Morgasts Claw. Change the last sentence. This is about Legion of Night trying to give guys pluses to cast. How the bearer cannot make a move. Okay, so if you're drawing a symbol with this claw, you can't move, which is how it was in the Legions of the Gash, I believe. So that's fine. Yeah, cool. That's that. I'm just going to catch up with the chat quickly. So Mark says, didn't realize you're on, Alex, so you must be listening to this. Says hi. And then we've got George saying, hello from the chaotic, beautiful, rainy Mexico City. Hello. Hope everything's well in Mexico, bar the weather. And then we've got Rerolling Ones. Jack saying, I think they changed the Khorne Endless Prayers to the standard way they work. So are you aware of what made them a bit different to the standard way?
No. I'm just reading them now, and then certainly now they read as invocations will do. But yeah, I don't know how they were worded before.
Okay, cool. Okay, yeah. So whatever rules they had on page
are now different.
77 are now there. So they've updated to change. Yep, so that makes sense. But thank you, Jack, for let us know about that, and I hope you're doing well. And obviously, I'll give your channel shout out. Anyone doesn't know Rerolling Ones, go check them out. Fantastic battle reports. And he's just quickly just put things that I think you still had to roll for them to go away, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, okay. So it just basically just catched up with modern times. That Grave Lords, we've covered what's changed in Beast of Chaos, Blaze of Khorne, Cities of Sigmar. So they've had a few buffs by the sound of things, but then again, the ward thing's changing again, potentially. So kind of not. Yeah. But what have they had? So you've got the mages. So you got the mages of.
Yeah, so this is kind of big. So in the previous FAQ, so in the book, in the battle tome, this FAQ is what's written, but then in the previous FAQ they took away the fact that Hallowheart Wizards knew an extra spell from the spell law, so now they've just given it back to them, so it's kind of come full circle, I think.
That's good then. So it's just sort of like fixing a problem they made, isn't it, really?
I think so.
Cool. And then that is that's that. Coalition has
Yeah, so there's a lot of coalition erratas. I don't think they're actually anything useful. Yeah.
So things like they don't count towards the number of battle line in your army leaders. So they count towards battle line. They do not count towards battle line. how they count towards the maximum number of leaders, behemoths, all that. So it kind of sounds like if it was good, if it could count towards something like battle line to help you with your minimum battle line, doesn't do that. But if it makes it harder with getting leaders and stuff, basically you're getting the worst of both worlds because they're coalition.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm aware, that was what the case was before. So reading it, I couldn't really figure out what they'd actually changed with the errata, but maybe it's something small that I missed.
Or obviously, guys, like we are just reading it ourselves. We didn't write the FAQ, so there's something that we do miss or anything like that. Let us know in the comments down below. So it's not just us who are going to benefit from it; it's everyone who's watching this now and later as well. But we will try and cover everything we know, because I mean, this is an army that I've just clicked on that you know a lot about. So the Daughters of Khaine used to be one of your favorite ones to play. So Morathi's got Ren 2 now.
Yeah, I mean, it's big. I feel very mixed about it. Like, it's the right thing. So, like, for anybody who doesn't know, she's gone on Heart Render. She's gone between Ren 1 and Ren 2 about 4 times now, because GW does good. But yeah, it like obviously Morathi plus Bloodstalkers, the bow snakes, was already one of the strongest builds in the game, and where it fell down was against very high armor because everything in the army was Rend 1, and you were relying on Mindrazor to get Morathi up to Rend 2. And Mindrazor has a casting value of an 8, so it's really unreliable. So now that we've got this, Morathi can potentially go up to Rend 3, punch through that armor. She's terrifying. She's a big problem again. So like that build got a lot better, which is probably a bad thing for the game, I'd say. As much like I'm a doc player, but like yeah, it's pretty gross. However, I'm really happy personally because now it means that before Bloodstalkers were kind of where our consistent damage output was for doc. Like you couldn't rely on Morathi. Like too often she'd go in with Rend 1 and she'd just bounce. But now I can look at other ways to play the army without feeling like it's just stupid. Like, why am I even bothering when the other build's so much better? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it kind of like you might try and be a bit different with the army, and it's like
exactly.
If you want to be as competitive as you can be, you have to go the other thing.
Yeah, so I was trying to be different for the start of third, and I was just like every list I wrote, I was like, it's just nowhere near as good as 15 Bloodstalkers. Whereas now, like I've already, literally it's happened today, and I've got a list written up that I'm excited to play because I can be like, right, I can rely on Morathi to go and do this while I have all these other combat pieces ready to do this, and it's really cool.
Exactly, and it's weird, isn't it? Because you always feel a little bit guilty if you don't do the list that is.
Yeah, like
in a way.
I watched Vince's video last week about like the 3 different types of like gamer, and it really I heard about it, but it's not something I'd read into. And then it's like Johnny, like who likes to create an idea and like come up with stupid shit, and that's me, like 100%. So like yeah, running Bloodstalkers, I was just kind of like yeah. So yeah, excited to go a bit mad scientist and see what I can do.
Definitely, and also like I know it's an army that you own, so it's not like just a case of playing on TTS and stuff and just generating the models. The models you're going to build and paint. It's nice if you don't have to build and paint the same ones over and over again. So that's pretty good. And then just catch up with the chat. Mark Stanley saying, is there a video site to use Path to Glory? We'll be doing a Path to Glory campaign soon on the channel, Mark, so stay in tune for that. But Rerunner Ones has said what I was going to say. That Doug from Too Much Tough did a very good video walking you through that if you want to know more information on that. And then Rerunner One's Jack has also said that I'm currently building a Craif list. Is that pronounced right? Is that pronounced wrong?
Yeah.
So Craif list with 90 Sisters of Slaughter.
You're a mad lad. Like
some narrative.
Craif got really badly hit in 3.0 with command point changes, and yeah, I mean, kudos to you.
But Jack, you can say when you turn up for your games, you can say, I'm not like all the other doc
players. I get it. I do get it for narrative though, because if you can roll those 5+, like, so for anyone who doesn't know, on a 5+, I think it's after the Sisters of Slaughter unit is fought, they get to fight again, or it might be at the end of the combat phase they get to fight again. So like, if you're good at rolling 5+, you can like just absolutely mince through stuff. But it's a 5+.
Yeah, it's but in narrative, it's going to happen if you don't get it. Change the dice roll for the narrative. I know, like me and my buddy had a narrative game a little while ago, and then it was just like, oh, wouldn't this be a really cool charge? You rolled it, it failed, and you're just like, for the narrative, just push it in because you can just be relaxed. But anyway, Jack's also saying that I'm Super Johnny, but I play a Spike on TV. So that's good. Like I said, they've got a load of battle reports. Go check that out, guys, as well. Fantastic stuff. And then Mark saying, thank you, Beyond and Ones, for that information. And then Thomas Berg, before we move away, is saying that Keltnar for the win.
Retreat and charge Marathi. It's what I'm doing. It's kind of what I'm leading into with my new build I've written up. Yeah, because that's really, really scary.
Yeah, I remember when I played against that, like everything retreat charge. I was like, oh, that's really cool. That's really good. And then sort of got halfway through, and even though I already knew the answer to this, I was like, everything retreats in charge. It's like, yeah, I was like, that's great. Really happy for you.
Exactly. Like basically, my list is Marathi and 15 spear snakes, and then like a load of supporting pieces. So just having those two big scary units running around, retreating, charging, running 2d6 and charging, like bonuses of it. It's going to be glorious.
I'm talking about another glory. Just before we move on, sorry, Jack's just said something directly to that. Retreat and charge is the most underrated ability in the game. It's huge. Yeah. I remember like the Skaven haven't got the charge, but they've got the retreat and run, which is really good. It's retreat and run they've got, isn't it? Yeah.
No, I think it is retreat and charge. It is retreat and charge, yeah.
Ah, right. Yeah, that like it's 1Me games with them, or even when I played with Ossiarch Bonereapers. I think the Stone Lords units that have mounts can retreat and charge, and then that's made you just like grab an objective or something like that. So
it's very good.
Yeah, it's fantastic. But talking about another army that's probably not bottom tier, but just a little bit above is, of course, no objective. The Disciples of Zeech, who consistently tend to do very well. So we've had a change to them with horrors, haven't we?
We have a whole new war scroll, and it is the best day ever.
Fantastic. So shall we have a look at the war scroll? So I'll be honest. I mean, I fought against these buggers, and I try to forget about them at the best of times. Do you know like the specific things that have changed that's going to make an impact to them? If
yes.
You could,
I can take you through without you reading the whole war scroll.
Thank
you. So yeah, for anybody who didn't know, horrors beforehand, basically you started off with 10 pink horrors. When one pink horror died, it split into 2 blue horrors, and then when the blue horror died, it turned into a brimstone horror. So basically 10 models was actually like 50-60 wounds, which is already very, very good. Then you had things like Emerald Life Swarm, which could bring them back. Their standard bearer would also, if you rolled a 1, which in Zeech is very easy to do because of fate dice on the battle shock, then you could bring back was it D6 or D3? I don't know. But yeah,
D6.
I think it was D6, yeah, which was just gross. And then also with Rally coming in, you could go down to like 5 brimstones. So you'd had 45 models die. You could roll 45 dice and bring back on average like 5 or 6 pinks, which is like on average like 30 wounds. So it was just crazy. Like they were just completely bent in 3.0. So yeah, basically what they've changed to make them better, they firstly got rid of the icon bearer. So now instead of the returning pinks in the battle shock phase, it's in your hero phase on a 3-up, you receive 1 extra fate point. The reason for this is that pinks are no longer wizards. So they've lost their ability to cast spells, so they don't have their +1 to hit spell anymore. So this just offsets the fact that you're losing that fate point each turn. So like that's fine. Then really though, the big thing is the designer's note at the bottom. So basically they still split and split again. So a pink goes down to 2 blues, and then a blue turns into a brimstone. However, I'll read it exactly. So if a horror splits and splits again, it is immediately removed from play, and the replacement models are added to the unit before the next wound or mortal wound is allocated to the unit. A horror that is removed from play because of split and split again does not count as slain for the purposes of battle shock rules, and it cannot be returned through the use of rules that allow you to return slain models to the unit. So the negatives for a Zeech player is that yeah, you can no longer, like, once that pink is dead, it is dead. You can never return pinks to the unit. However, they're now essentially battle shock immune. So for that, you know, again, in that 10-man unit, for the first 30 wounds they're taking, they are entirely battle shock immune. So it's like they're 215 points. They work out as about 3 points per wound. So incredibly efficient tar pits still. They just actually work in the game and aren't one of the worst bits of NPE going.
Yeah.
So it's really good. Like they're still completely usable. Like talking to Tzeentch players, they're like, this is fine. Like it clears everything up. They're still good. I'll still use them. Yeah,
it makes them a bit less annoying to deal with as well as an opponent.
Yeah, like they're definitely not. Yeah, they're definitely worse than because they were as they were like especially with maximum unit size being defined, like they would have been the worst thing in the game. Like they would have just been. So like this war scroll change was entirely needed, but they're still very good.
Yeah, exactly. That's good then. And we've got Chasers joining us, saying Howdy just read the Tzeentch horror changes. They finally addressed them. Still good tar pits, and now they get fate points. They do indeed.
Yeah, I mean they got the fate point beforehand because they were a wizard, so it's just like offsetting that. But yeah,
they haven't taken it away. Basically, their ability.
Yeah, exactly, which is really, really good because I mean it's not like Tzeentch are struggling for fate points with cogs around, but there we go. But it is, I mean, kind of a problem for them is they no longer have that ability to get +1 to hit from their spell on their shooting attack. So the classic Eternal Conflagration where they had Rend and they do loads of shooting is a bit worse, but yeah, they're still very good. And Tzeentch is still going to be probably S tier.
Yeah, their prime ability is being a great tarpit, isn't it? At the end of the day,
Exactly.
They haven't.
And that's fine. That was 100% fine. It was when they were down to like 2 brimstones, and then they retreated out, and then in the next hero phase they brought like 6 or 7 pinks back, and you're like, cool, another 40 wounds to chew through.
Here we go again. Yeah,
and then you drop an Emerald Life Swarm on to bring the other 3 back, and you'd be like, right, they're back to 50 wounds. Let's go.
Yeah, it's a nightmare, right? And it's one of those things where it's I think we've all, like, some of us more than others, but we've all had experience against pinks, and we're all the main thing we don't like is so many of them coming back. So we can all be we can all rejoice in that.
Exactly. There's worse tar pits in the games. 30 death rattle skeletons are far worse.
Yeah, there's a story for another time, isn't it? But no, thank you for explaining all that in great detail. So then going on to the next thing, which is the good old Fire Slayers. So how have these guys changed? So for their magic invocations, like what Jacq mentioned with Khorne, ignore the rule that they have on page 59. Go for the core rules of how invocations work in Age of Sigmar, 3rd edition. And
that's it.
That's it. Again, if we've missed anything, let us know. But that's all the purple ones in. So nice. We like Fire Slayers. They're great. And then going on to the Gobbos from the Gloomspite Gits. So that is
just like a change to Bodyguard Bounders.
Yeah, so it's a great rule. So we will read it out. Squig Hoppers, boing boing boing. Change the rule to after this unit has made a normal move, run or treat, pick one enemy unit and roll a dice for each model in this unit that passed across models from that unit on a 4+. That unit would have suffered 1 mortal wound. That's kind of how I think it probably was before. It like a hex ray sort of ability. So, but it must have changed in some way. But there we go, and that's
and then Slaanesh is just changes to coalition rules again. That's literally it.
Points gone down.
Unfortunately, not.
Oh no.
I know. KO though has some changes worth talking about.
Cool. Let's have a look at. Sorry about Slaanesh, guys. Like, they'll fix it one day, maybe. All right, so they have got a fair bit of purple. So the first one is canon in the spell that was cast with the spell in a bottle. Enchantment be controlled by the player and the answer by the bearer, and the answer is no. Which I think now after
makes sense.
Yeah, like the guy's not casting effectively. He's
exactly
a bottle, and the spell probably didn't want to be in there in the first place. If anything, it's probably more likely to attack the guy who just smashed the ball. So that makes sense. And then, we're talking about fly high. This is going to be useful. So, question: if you use the fly high ability to disengage with a unit, can that unit still shoot or charge later in the same turn? It can still shoot as per the disengaging ability, but it cannot charge. Which I'm pretty sure. I mean, I might be wrong, but I imagine most K players are more caring about the shooting than the charging.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think basically, because fly high happens instead of a normal move, and obviously normal move definition has changed in 3.0, I think there was a bit of confusion over whether they could do anything after they've flown high. but this just kind of clears up that they can do stuff, which is okay. Like KO aren't the powerhouse that they were in 2.0.
No, I mean, I'll be lucky. I've only fought against KO twice, and one of them was when they first came out about 4 years ago, and the other one was once in 2.0, and they lost the double turn. So I don't know what everyone was complaining about, but apparently they were quite annoying to fight. But on to the next one. So we have, can I use the fly high ability instead of making a normal move that is granted by an effect? For example, can I use the fly high ability instead of moving with the Scent Tracker Battalion ability from the Pitch Battles 2021? Or there's always a breeze if you look for it. Barrack Ziflin ability, yes to both questions, which I think is probably quite relevant.
So this is really interesting. So Alpha Beast Pack, I think this refers to, is the GHB thing where you can put like 3 behemoths in that battalion, and they can move. They can make. I think it says they can make a normal move instead of before the battle begins. So now they can basically fly high, which people were already doing. This just confirmed that they were allowed to do it. So people can fly high even before the battle begins. Is it that useful? Like, it depends. Like, if you can decide who's going first, it's useful. If you can't decide who's going first, not useful at all.
Because they're in that battalion, they can't be in the drop-in 1 battalion, can they?
Correct.
So, and because that's 3 monsters and not 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could just put like 1 or 2 in, so you could still be like a 2 or 3 drop. I think you probably be a 3 drop list with it.
So you could still potentially go first, but yeah. So it is dependent on that, but I think that's generally quite a good thing anyway, isn't it? Being able to do that, and then there's always a breeze. If you look for it from Barrack Ziflin, is that like a during the game ability and not?
So that was the Ziflin ability, which once per game you can make a normal move in your hero phase, and that was how they would drop Warp Lightning Vortex on you turn 1.
So okay, and in this case,
so it just means that they can do it still.
They can do it, so they can fly high and then move in the turn as well.
Exactly, yeah. So basically, they'd fly high, they drop down 9 inches in front of you, they drop the Warp Lightning Vortex out, beat you up with that. They then make a normal move 3 inches away from you. They then shoot over your screens to the stuff behind, and then they potentially charge in and cause all kinds of damage.
Glad I didn't fight against.
So that was the whole Ziflin thing, basically. Yeah,
and that's it. Oh no, there is. Okay, so there's a little change here. I remember reading about earlier. So 1 in every 4 units from the barrack from when you can put like Dwarden units in there. It is Cities of Sigmar and Fire Slayer, so no Chaos Dwarves or anything. I think maybe that was.
Yeah, correct. Also, Gotrek. Oh no, Gotrek's in Cities of Sigmar, so he still does get it. I think.
Sigmar, is he?
Yeah, he got put into the points table for the cities.
Okay, so that clears that up.
But yeah, I think that again, that's much the same as it ever was. I think because they always gained the barrack thing, but they never gained the KO keywords.
Nice, cool. So that's KO. So a few changes there to take note of, and then I'm just going to catch up with the chat as well, so we don't leave behind. Going back to what we were saying before, Chase saying 60 zombies takes a bit to chew through. It does, like I think I was charged by a bunch of Beast Core Raider stuff, and they survived a while, but inevitably died. Re-rolling ones. Jacq is saying, really enjoying the FAQ clarification, especially without the usual extremely snarky commentary others usually add. Well, I do try and be honest, but not just, I don't know, moan and bitch about things just for the sake of, I don't know, there's a reason why this video isn't named why you should stop playing Warhammer or something like that. So I agree with you, Jacq, there. And also, I think it is nice to just have that clarification, right? You know, even like some of these things that we're reading were like, this is how people were playing it anyway, but it just clarifies it. It's great because the one time you play against that person, they go, actually, I see the rule completely differently, and you don't have anything to point to. It's annoying, isn't it? And then we have Chase as well saying, do you think the Knight Incarnum in the middle of your lines would prevent a Warp Lightning Vortex from being set up, as no endless spell model can end movement within 3 inches of the Knight?
It's a setup, not a movement.
Yeah,
so it wouldn't, if it doesn't affect the movement of the endless spell, the setup of the endless spell, then it wouldn't work. But if it can't set up within 3 inches, then yeah, it would totally stop it.
There we go, and there's the answer. And then going on to Maggotkin of Nurgle. So
This is just coalition, nothing else.
Easy.
I've been looking ahead. Ogre Mawtribes changed to the Rime Shroud. It's now -1 to hit for missile weapons that target the bearer. I don't know what it was before, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, -1 to hit. Nobody really cares about that in this edition, with all the pluses to hit around.
Yeah. I suppose that pairs up nicely with what defense in shooting phase, but like you say, you're just all out attack, so
yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's no biggie. I don't know what it was before, and then Uruk War Clans has had literally no change. I don't know even why the updated date has happened. There's not even a bit of pink in there.
Well, do you remember the Winter FAQ where they updated all the dates and there was no change? We did a video on that, didn't we? All those songs. That was a talking about what Jacq was mentioned earlier. That was a moaning for the sake of moaning video because they deserved it. But they've got the Uruk War Clans Battle coming out in the future, haven't they? So
I mean, yeah, 2022 is going to be a big year.
Yeah, well, they did when they said August. They didn't mention the year after. So
exactly, yeah.
2023, maybe. Different subject, but how hard is it for a big company like that just to put up a community article, just go, "Hi guys, for this"?
I mean, they did do it just after the community went wild at them.
Yeah,
it's like, why be reactive rather than proactive?
Before? Like, why do we have to act wild to get them to? I don't know, but they were pushing the Warhammer Plus thing, weren't they? So anyway.
Oh, that's the whole reason why they did it. I suspect is they wanted to be able to release them all together.
Exactly.
But anyway,
Ossiarch
Bonereapers. Yeah, we've got some good stuff here.
Oh, that's good. Relentless Discipline points. A lot of purple there, which is nice. So
I can basically summarize it. You can now use multiple command abilities in the same phase. So like you can auto move them like 2 units. Oh, you can add 3 inches movement to 2 units of Mortech in a single phase. They still don't have access to generic command abilities. But like that's the same for 2.0. Like so now they've been brought back in line with where they were in 2.0. So cool. Like their whole thing is like they don't get normal command abilities.
I suppose the only negative side to that is like the battalions where they can use like defense or out attack or something.
Just don't run them.
Yeah, just don't.
I mean, to be honest, no one's running them anyway.
No, and I think with the Bonereapers, the biggest problem I had with the changes was the thing they fixed, because it was like I just presumed I'd be making my guys move the extra 3. Like I always saw Mortech Guard moving 7 inches as an example. So yeah, that's the main thing. Arcane the Black, the Staff.
He can no longer spam Mystic Shield, which is good. That was the pretty dominant Ossiarch Bonereapers build for like the start of 3.0 was Petrifix Elite, so ignoring Rend 1, and then Arcane was just sat there spamming more Mystic Shield because GW realised that Nagash doing it would be pretty powerful, so they fixed Nagash, but they just forgot about Little Arcane, who could also do it. So yeah, now he can just spam Arcane Bolt, probably a good thing. Like Mystic Shield is one of now the best spells in the game, and everyone's just got access to it, so it's like
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I agree. For that to be changed makes sense. And then we've got going on to a Mortis Guard description. So they're elites. Necropolis Stalkers are elite. Morgasts are elite. Morgasts Harbingers are elite. That's all good. Because how Ossiarch Bonereapers work is they're very independent. Like you can send 3 Stalkers if you want on a flank or something like that, and they can work very independently. They don't need a hero nearby or whatever. So it's nice they can still do that. And that is that for these guys, isn't it? So that's cool. So needed changes for them, which is nice. Hopefully that'll make people want to start playing a little more. And then the Seraphon. So does the Coalesce battle trait Scaly Skin apply to mortal wounds? No. So Scaly Skin from the Coalesce, is that the take away 1 damage?
Yeah, reduced damage by 1. Again, this was always the case, but I think people might have been arguing that it was different.
Yeah, I think I've had a few arguments of that. So, and then page 60, the law of the celestial domination, Drain Magic, changed the rule to Drain Magic has a casting value of 9. It's successfully cast all endless spells within 23 inches of the caster are not bounded are dispelled. Of course, I think is that just fitting it into the whole 3.0?
No, I don't even like. It's such a bad spell. It's like, so obviously it takes quite a lot of effort for an endless spell to not be bonded. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically saying any endless spell that's not bonded is dispelled. But if you've got an endless spell out, it's almost always going to be bonded.
Yeah, maybe that was more useful in second edition, but that was.
Oh, I mean, maybe to be fair, the only thing is I'd have to read the ruling on bonding, but like,
Soul Link.
Yeah, well, Soul Link gets around. Yeah, Soul Link, but yeah, I was more thinking things like Umbral Spell Portal. I don't actually know if they're bonded to.
Are the cogs bonded? Do you still have like a wizard that operates it, or is that?
Yeah, cogs is. I think. Yeah, I'll have a look. We'll move on.
Yeah, okay.
It's nothing that interesting.
Yeah, it's just for the sake of OCD, really, isn't it? And then the next one, so we've got page 80. So, Saurus Sunblood, Scent of Weakness. Change the rule to you can use this command ability when you pick a friendly Saurus unit to fight in the combat phase. That unit must receive the command until the end of that phase. Add 1 to wound rolls for attacks. Maybe that unit, it was maybe add 1 to hit rolls, or maybe +1 to attack. Presumably, it's changed. And then going on to the Engine of the Gods. Add the priest keyword to the keyword section. I believe
that's pretty big.
Good. Yeah,
that's like the Engine of the Gods was already excellent. Then you chuck in, put in Thunder Lizards where it can shoot twice. Yeah. It really did some. Like, I've got a few friends who play Seraphon and love it. And then now you just give it heal, and it can now heal an extra D3 a turn, or you've obviously give it curse if that's the way you want to play it. Yeah, it's a pretty big buff.
Yes, that's cool. And again, just gives. I mean, Seraphon got quite a few ways to play anyway, have they? But it helps play the other ways and break free from the standard sort of build. So yeah, I like.
Yeah, I tell you what, I thought that Thunder Lizard was the way to go, and then last week I played against a classic Fangs of Sotek list again. It's still really good. Still really good.
But the thing is, it's really good, but it just feels like really.
Well, the bastard was running 230 blocks of skinks, and you could just unleash hell with one and fire and fade with the other. It was like, this is no fun. And he had like 2 star priests, so both of them were like spitting mortals. I was just there like, I'm sad now.
And it's just like, when you mainly play with a combat army, let's say, and then you charge the buggers, and then they run away on a 4-up.
I know. There were like 2 skinks left. I was like, I can get broken ranks on those 2 skinks. And then he just ran them away. I was like, oh, okay.
Best I ever had it was I picked a unit of skinks for Whispers, or Chaotic Whispers, whatever it's called, the Slaves of Darkness spell.
The one that stops you from moving, Whispers.
Stop them from moving. Yeah. A bunch of them died. Stop them moving, and then I'll KO on charge and just, stay, just instead of just trying to hit something with a sword, hold the thing with one hand and just bang. Yeah. The other unit then melted the rest of my army and with the salamanders, but that's not what we talk about. We talk about the minor victories, and then you kill them all, and then the person's like, "Oh, they weren't really worth that many in kill points, like for pride," and it's like, bloody hell. But anyway, going on to the next thing. So an army that you are playing quite close to your heart at the moment, Skaven, and there are a couple of changes.
Yeah.
So the Verminlord Warp Seer Scryer Orb. So add 1 to the save rolls for attacks that target this model, and so that's reroll save rolls, wasn't it before?
No, yeah. So this did get changed to +1 to save in the last FAQ, but basically, as you know, it used to be the case, that you would have this plus to save, and then you do your D6 mortal wounds, and you'd lose it.
Yeah.
In this one, oh no, it's literally what they're doing, because it still says it's literally the same. I thought that you could throw it and keep the +1 to save, but
oh no, so I know. So I think you used this against me, or you might have been wrong. You relooked at it, but it says in your shooting phase. Did you throw this at me in my shooting phase?
Maybe
because maybe that's true. Maybe it was always like that. I don't know, but otherwise I don't know what's changed. Like since the third edition, first.
Yeah, no, I thought that it was an in addition thing, so you could have both, but yeah, like it's nothing. on we go.
They just wanted more purple. Right. So do you reckon they went into this and they just like highlighted it and they just went, you know what, just change that to purple and then it'll make it look like we've done something.
That wouldn't surprise me, yeah.
It was 5 to 5 on a Friday. Right, so giant rat. So wave of rats. So change the rules to the range characteristic of this unit's vicious teeth is a 2-inch, while it has 6 or more models in addition, and 1 to the wound rolls for attacks made by this unit while it has 6 more models. I mean, when I used to play Skaven, I don't remember increasing the range of that unit's teeth at all, and I can't imagine you've probably played with many giant rats.
Clan Molder stonks are through the roof. No, I've got no idea. It's not an aspect of Skaven that interests me in any way.
No, I tell you what though, with my Clan Molder, winning streak, it was pretty 100% ratio of winning with that army. It's pretty good.
You should revisit it now that the Hellpit Abominations get mount traits and stuff.
Do they get mount traits?
Yeah, that was in Broken Realms Kragnos.
I haven't read the rules of them from that. I might have to look at it because those bring the tip of
Rat Ogre. I tell you what, Rat Ogre's got pretty damn good.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
They were. I'm trying to think because obviously there was that game when I went against Living Cities, and it was you bring 3 Hellpits. One of them's going to do something bad. One of them's going to disappoint you, and then the third one's just going to be absolutely amazing.
I think one of the mount traits is just to like re-roll that roll, as in when it dies, what happens? You just re-roll it. It's like, yeah.
I like that. And then, like, do you remember when I killed, like, was it 29 Phoenix Guards or something with a mound of flesh? It's like brilliant. Parlin, that's it. Don't kill the thing, and then it's going to do this against you. Okay, so then we've got Slaves to Darkness. So big old Archaon has had a little bit, a smidge of a change with his Eye of Chiron. So all we know with this thing, it used to be your opponent has to reroll 6s to hit against you for shooting and melee. So it used to be great, and it used to stop a lot of the like skinks doing mortal wounds to you on 6s, all those sort of stuff. So what this is, and bow snakes and all that sort of thing, a lot of those sort of things. Anyway, so what this means is once per battle, at the start of your hero phase, you can say that Archaon will use the Eye of Chiron. If you do so, subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks that target this unit until your next hero phase. I mean, it's just generically went from one of the best abilities in the game to now just not good. But
he's gone from being about 150 points underpointed to like 60 or 70 points underpointed. So like it's a big nerf. He's got so much else going on for him. Like he's still one of the best things in the game, but like it brings him down a little bit, which is only a good thing.
Yeah, I completely agree. Just going off, I as an Archaon player, I still haven't really used my Archaon in real life. But so I was looking forward to abusing it, but he's still very good for what he is. And then just going back to the chat, so Thomas Berg said he lost the save roll. Not just the +1, they fix it. So is that about the skate? Is that about the warp? No, the warp. So yeah, whatever it's called.
Yeah, well, the reroll saves was taken away in the previous FAQ. It changed to add 1 to save rolls.
Like basically when we got into 3rd edition, we realised, reroll saves are going away. That's when he lost this. With most things, bar the mark of Zeech for Slaves to Darkness, basically. So Vanguard also get elite, so we mentioned that. So that's good. We like this. The Slaughter Brute, yes. Add the Mark of Chaos keyword to the keyword section. Mutated Vortex Beast, add the Mark of Chaos keyword to the... That doesn't mean that you can give it any mark then, does it?
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
I think they can get marks now.
Bear with me. Because I want to make a conversion for my army. That would be absolutely amazing. This is going completely off the top. I just want to see how this works. So the Slaughter Brute obviously is the key and pride piece to every competitive list for the Slaves to Darkness. Mark of Chaos. And the Mark of Chaos keyword to the keyword section. I don't really understand it. I don't think you can. I think it's just now it's a keyword, maybe.
Okay.
That's sad. So
Oh, I think I know what it is.
Yes.
Let me just find a chaos. There's Nurgle.
Does that mean he can go into? Well, he's not a demon though, is he?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So basically, it just means that they can be allied, well, coalitioned into other. Yeah, because basically they've got to have the mark of chaos keyword to do that. So all it means is they can coalition into whatever keyword they've got. So I guess Slaughter Brutes are Khorne and Vortex Beasts to Tzeentch.
Yeah, that's correct.
So that's all it means. That's all it means is they can now go into that.
So Blades of Khorne are probably top of the meta now, I imagine.
Oh, I mean, you say this, but in the TTS tournament I'm helping run at the moment, we've got a Khorne player on 4-1.
Bloody hell. I mean, that is
he's basically it's just Scarbrand going mental every game, doing like 40-50 mortal wounds. It's beautiful.
Wow. I mean that's so distant to me. I'm never going to watch any games. I don't know the guy, but that's just beautiful to hear.
I mean, he's a legend. It's Orc-Man for anybody who knows him. Like all he's run basically is Orcs, and like he's just a wizard, and like watching him play is a dream. And yeah,
that's beautiful. And I mean, like, it's just well deserved. I mean, there's the whole the whole thing of Scarbrand fighting your Draster as well.
Yeah, he loves it.
Yeah, has he fought your Draster with the Scarbrand? No, that would be beautiful though. Right, okay, so going on to some Broken Realm stuff. So we got Be'lakor. So the one thing there is change is the Krulghast Krulgator, so the new Nighthaunt hero that came out. His Empower and Execution, so change the second sentence to the Deathless Spirit battle trait negates wounds and mortal wounds allocated to friendly Nighthaunts. Units wholly within 12 inches of any friendly empowered his keyword on a 5+ instead of a 6. So is it changed because it's not a ward?
I don't even know what it did beforehand. And honestly,
it gave so the death save.
Yeah.
Made it a 5 up anyway.
Yeah.
So
and then I think Kragnos basically Sinjessa, the Slaanesh wizard, gains the wizard keyword. She didn't have it before because they didn't write it properly. And then Broken Realms, Morathi, and Teclis are just coalition stuff.
But is this where we talk about Awakened Wildwoods for the Silver?
No, we do that in Sylvaneth.
Cool, awesome. And then do you say there's anything in Morathi?
No, nothing in Morathi, nothing in Teclis. It's just coalition stuff.
Awesome. And then core rules.
Sons of Behemat. So basically, what they've changed there is Longshanks, which is them walking over stuff. It used to be that they could only walk over terrain 4 inches or higher. They can now walk over any terrain, so it doesn't matter about height. And also, they can now just like walk over Archaon if they wanted to. So cool.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
So that's really helping out the massive bases, isn't it? And the moderately slow movement for the size of them.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Right, so there's that. Stormcast Eternals again. They're getting a book. So
so it is worth talking about because they talk about Andrasta.
Okay, yeah.
Because basically there was like a weird contradictory effect between. It's quite funny. I was actually having this debate like last week with people between her monster damage, and then Alaric, Spirit of the Stone's ability to make it fight at the top bracket. And basically, the Huntress triggers when the damage table of a monster is used to determine a characteristic or ability. As both these effects trigger at the same time, they are classed as simultaneous. This means the players whose turn it is that takes place first. So yeah, it's kind of what the same decision we came to. It's just simultaneous effects for anything like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's kind of like when it's like we both fight first, but it's my turn, so I get to. It stays in that theme, doesn't it, a little bit? So that's cool. And then going on to the Sylvaneth. So the first thing is an Awakened Wildwood considered to be a wildwood in the core rules of 17.1.4? And the answer is yes. Does that change anything?
I don't think so.
The idea, no, I don't think so either. And then you got the Winterleaf Branch Blizzard. So this is change to You can use this command ability when you pick a friendly Winterleaf unit to shoot in your shooting phase. That unit must receive the command ability until the end. Must receive the command ability until the end of that phase. If the unmodified hit roll for an shooting attack made by that unit is a 6, that attack causes 1 mortal wound to the target in addition to any damage it inflicts. So that, from what I remember last time I read Winterleaf, I don't remember them having any ability like that. And maybe what they got to shoot twice or something, maybe.
I think it was like a weird with Winterleaf. I can't remember. Was it a weird horde clearer? No, I can't remember.
Yes, there was some sort. I think there was like some sort of horde. So this has changed completely.
Yeah,
and that's pretty good. More wins and 6s.
Yeah, it's fine, isn't it?
They can do anything.
Let's get to the juicy stuff.
Yeah, anything good for them, they'll take. And then the Awakened Wildwood. So, do you know, without me reading all this, do you know what's happened here?
Yeah, rest in peace, Sylvaneth. So basically, you can no longer teleport through the Awakened Wildwoods, which is really big. Like, they're a very slow army, and they got their mobility from hopping between Wildwoods. And now, other than the Tree Lords, which have it inbuilt on their War Scroll, you just can't teleport through the Wildwoods. They got a little buff in that the visibility from units with the Sylvaneth keyword isn't affected by the terrain feature, so it's not line of sight blocking for Sylvaneth. But just the fact that and also like how you place them has changed. Like, I'm not super like knowledgeable on how they were placed before compared to now, but like I know there's complaints about that. How they're placed is also a lot worse. But I think mostly it's the fact you can't teleport between them anymore.
I mean, do we know what Games Workshop wants to do with Sylvaneth?
The fact that this is like the 4th Sylvaneth Wildwood War Scroll in as many months is a joke.
Yeah, like I don't know what to say. It's one of those armies that could deal with a bone as well thrown to them, couldn't it? But was anyone complaining about how this worked?
It was so basically,
okay,
you could, with the placement, drop some trees down in front of Kragnos or a Stonehorn, and you could pin them in place, and they just couldn't move all game.
Okay, so it was a problem.
So it was a problem. The teleport, so like how they were placed needed to be changed. The fact that you can't teleport them is the really bad thing.
Well, I'm glad Games Workshop's put their time and effort into things that really count. So that is Sylvaneth. Apologies, guys, but I mean,
you had your moment. You had your moment in the sun. Matt got a couple of 4-1s. Like, what are you complaining about?
All live off his glory.
Exactly.
And you're probably somehow a bit better off than Slaanesh. So there's all of that. And then Chaser said that Sylvaneth Army book way off using erratas as a test cases between tournaments to settle on key design features. The Wildwood. Yeah, I mean, I remember when their second battle tome was coming out, and then it was delayed for a long time because it was stuck in China, and they couldn't get it over to send it out on their suppliers. And then really they should have just let it stay in China because their first battle tome was better for all purposes. Like, it was silly. Everyone's like, I can't wait. I've been waiting ages for my new book, and then it got it. And I was like, what the hell is this? So there is that, and then we've got some compendiums. So we've got Monstrous Arcanum. So is this?
It's worth. So there is an important thing in Wrath of the Everchosen. So basically, the Munificent Wanderer's one last gift ability used to be 6s to hit against them would kick a mortal wound back. However, with triggered effects, if a unit, say, had exploding 6s, that would because you had to choose one.
Yes.
Obviously, the attacker would always choose the exploding 6s, and so basically, it didn't really work. So they've now changed it to hit rolls of 1, kick a mortal wound back. So that's really good, especially when combined with Wither Stave, which is 6s. Your opponent has to reroll 6s to hit. So Nurgle players are really happy about this change.
Well, that's good then. So that's a nice little buff for Nurgle. So that's definitely worth mentioning. So good shout. And then with the Monstrous Arcanums, it's letting us use 4-draw models now, is it? Or
So basically, there are 2 Monstrous Arcanums. One of them is Legends. One of them is
500 points. Sorry, I interrupted.
So basically, this one is the non-Legends one, and then lower down there is a Legends Monstrous Arcanum. So they've kind of split it up. So anything in this is match play legal.
It's proving really heavily going. Where is the Dragon on here?
We got the Dreadsaurian. That's something. I've not actually looked.
Borgoth the Skull Host the Corn. Yes, he is here. So he's still legal, which is the model when he came out a few years ago. I mean, it's ridiculous. Right, but where are his points? Because I presume he's gone down. This is the president of this show now. So
1,250. So still not match play legal.
What? 1,250.
Volgorath, yeah.
He went up 150 points.
Oh, your poor dragon.
Right, so what I'm going to say, right, so where is he? So I get him out in every video because I have to explain him. So
you have to get some use out of him, don't you?
I don't know, you might have missed it, but I did like a live narrative game against a friend of mine called Jamie against Inef Deepkin.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was a star guest, right? And the whole idea was my 1,000 point army is fighting his 1,000 point army. And then this was going to descend from the skies at the start of every battle round on a 4-up or something. Came down turn 2. It charged his Leviathan, and his Leviathan killed it. Like,
amazing.
I mean, and the Leviathan wasn't even buffed. Like, I mean, it just makes me sad. Now does that? Is it if it's over half the points of your army, or is it if it is half the points of your army?
If it's, I can't remember. I think if you're 1,000 points, then you're fine. If you're 1,001 points, then it's not match play legal.
Okay, so I was gonna say 2,500 points, then it would be you weren't allowed it. Still, yeah. You have to go to the 3,000. That's ridiculous. The thing died twice in 5 battle rounds because we brought it back because it 30 wounds isn't enough. 30 wounds and a 3-up save isn't enough.
Amazing.
Because it's like attacks right are like D6. And like what are you meant? Anyway, sorry guys, that was a complete distraction about the dragon. But maybe the war scroll's got better. Sorry, this is purely what this is about. Yeah. Would the war scroll be purple if it's changed?
No, I don't think so. I think there are war scroll changes, but I don't know.
And that's also I don't know / I don't care, but I don't care about that. So, it has got better. So before its charge ability, right, was bear in mind the size of the thing. On a 3-up, it does D3 more wounds on the charge.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's 2-up. Right, so on to the next thing. Generally really depressed about that. Really sad. I mean,
General's Handbook just has a few clarifications on like battle plans. Just there were a few weird things where like it needed talking about, but yeah.
I mean, it's 1,250. No, sorry, I will stop talking about it. But I mean, right. What about? I mean, it's almost like they don't make it anymore. They don't really give a crap about anyone who bought it. It's almost like that's the case. Right. So, and then what about the Endless Spells?
They're legends.
Oh, okay. So that's irrelevant, right?
Yes.
Grand Alliance Chaos, Death, Destruction.
This is all legends down the bottom.
So we done.
And then Flesh, and then and then Flesh Eater Courts, Eiseneth, and Lumineth, and Nighthaunt didn't get any change.
Okay.
Because they're still dated 2nd of July.
Yes. Which was like Warclans as well. They just decided to update it. Because to be fair, if they change the date for the Orc Warclans, it then means they don't need to bring out the battle tome because it's kind of covered that. Right, so that's everything then, isn't it? I believe.
Yeah, buddy.
You said we'll probably get this done in 2 hours, and here we are, just over an hour and a half. And I think That was pretty damn good.
It was speedy, wasn't it?
It was, I think, and there's probably less changes than the last. What the problem with the last FAQ we covered is there was so much speculation as well.
Yeah, like this actually, other than the whole ward save thing, it doesn't actually leave that many questions in the game, which is good.
Which is because at the start of this, I said, is it going to just make loads more problems? And it hasn't really, because then the ward save we think is potentially going to be fixed next week. So that'll be good. Right, okay, so guys, with that, thank you all very much for watching this. As always, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, smash the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell notification. So all those things massively help out the channel. It's absolutely free for you guys to do so. If you feel like you know someone who will enjoy this video, make sure you share it with them. And if you would like to join the amazing community we have here at Age of Nagash, there is a Discord, and there's a link to it in the description down below. You click that link, takes you there. Alex is actually one of the Mortarchs, one of the mods on it. Was it Crabicus?
Yeah, it was a crab.
Yeah,
thing.
It's like a crab civil war thing going on.
Yeah, because crab meta needs to be a thing. Giant crabs.
Did it come out, the warband?
Yeah, it's just absolute garbage.
Oh,
it's not worth the paper it's written on. Bless it.
Wouldn't it be funny if the crab had 30 wounds?
I mean, yeah, I'd be here for it. I'd accept that in a heartbeat.
Definitely. So anyway, join that, guys, if you'd like to. And I am actually going to, over this weekend, do something Alex has been asking me to do for a while, where he suggested I should make a separate channel for each of the Grand Alliances on there, so you can sort of like share the sort of tactics in more concise places. Do that, share loads of hobby, gaming tactics, loads of stuff on there anyway. So join that if you would like to. And if you would like to support the channel a step further, I have got a YouTube membership. It means click the join button next to the subscribe button, where you can support the channel. There's a link to my page on top of the description down below. And what that means is you can give anything from £1, $1 a month, go straight towards keeping the show going, as this does take so much time, effort, resources, and money, anything else, as I say, and YouTube doesn't pay very much. So it all just basically goes to help me out, keep this going. If you guys do enjoy the content, make sure you do that. And a massive shout out to everyone who has done that. Unfortunately, I don't have my list with me like I usually do, but they're all absolutely amazing. They know who they are by now. And please keep up that great work. And above all of that, I want to say a massive thank you to yourself, Faqs, for dedicating your evening and helping out with this. Because although there's a lot to go through, certainly makes it a hell of a lot easier when you have someone else to go through it and also bounce off ideas with. Otherwise, this would be really, really long, really long. Thank you very much for that help, Alex. And yeah, guys, so until next time, I hope you're well. If you can support the channel, that's great. If you can't, like, subscribe, bell notification would be amazing. Comment any questions you've got down below. That'd be great to hear as well. Anything you think we've missed, let us know down below, of course. And remember, until next time, to stay safe, stay hygienic, make sure you wear a mask. For God's sake, wash your hands, because then your hands are clean. Anything you disagree with the FAQs will change automatically. And then remember, until next time, more importantly, that Nagash is all, and all is one in Nagash.